All right, Rodney. One of the things I've seen lately is, I guess people call it self-aid buddy aid. Officers carrying tourniquets.
Yeah, saving your own ass, yeah.
And, like the officers who were shot over there, was it in Midtown? And the guy got hit in the arm, and on body camera you see him whip out the tourniquet, and he asks a citizen, "Hey, help me stop bleeding, help me get this on," which I think is actually pretty cool, if I'm being honest. I understand you're the one who came up with this idea.
Yes.
Okay, how did that happen, or what was the progression of that in the department?
Saving my own ass, literally.
Okay, explain.
So SRD was doing some training, and I was one of the instructors. And the job was, there's an officer down. We got to get him out of there. So the only thing we had was a bloody T-shirt that was simulating what we had. So the officers did a really good job doing the quick box of protecting the officer, but nothing was addressed on how to treat the officer. So they gave me grave concern, like, this is not good. So I started asking the officers, what about the injured officer? And we got all kinds of different answers where I don't want to hurt them. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not that they didn't want to do anything.
All saying the same thing. That's somebody else's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then all I can remember is seeing videotapes and stuff that the only thing we've been taught was, stay with me. Help's coming, stay with me.
Don't go into the light.
Exactly. and that was somebody else's job. Now, if you were military, you got very basic first aid. And when I was in, a tourniquet was the last resort, and it was not going to work.
Okay.
It was just basically a stick and a handkerchief. Is that what were you told?
550 cord. Yeah.
What were you told?
And you put the T on their forehead with mud or blood.
Forehead, yeah. So it said,
we were taught to put the time because if it was longer than like 30 minutes or something, you had to take it off.
Yeah. So that's old tactical medicine that was not understood on things.
Yeah.
So I started looking into more and more things and realized, man, this is not good, because if I'm injured, I really don't have much of a chance. And I don't remember the order of things. I don't remember what year it was. So
how many times was it rejected before somebody said, "Hey, that's a good idea"? Or somebody stole your idea? That's a better question. How many times was your idea rejected before a supervisor stole your idea? Because it is the Houston Police Department, after all.
Actually, not a whole lot. I did not have the immediate.
He got it. He got it done.
Okay.
I did hit some walls from my immediate supervisors, which was really, really surprised.
What'd they say?
That's not what we do here. It's not our job.
What is our job? Who's we? Are we they? Yeah. Aren't they us?
Aren't we them?
Exactly. But just for whatever reason, I don't know why, I would not take no for an answer. I was never passionate about anything in the police department until this, and I cannot explain why.
Okay.
So
who eventually said yes? Lieutenant, captain, assistant chief? Well, not an assistant chief. Forget that. Lieutenant or captain?
I'm not sure. As far as I took a meeting was to...
Or commander.
To an assistant chief.
Okay.
And the meeting went well. But the union was behind it as well. But I was driving home from active shooter, and it was the middle of the night, and we stayed a little bit later, and driving home, thinking nothing of it. I'm at by Mattress Mac, and I see a police car on the side of the road, on the service road, and something did not look right. The lights weren't on, but it was just stopped in the middle of the road, no lights on. There was no...
on the feeder road or the freeway?
On the service road.
On the service road. Okay, so...
And I'm on the freeway.
Was there another vehicle or just that vehicle?
There was just that vehicle.
Just a patrol car?
Just a patrol car just sitting there by itself. No emergency lights, no headlights.
People driving around it?
No, there was nobody driving. It was probably like 12 at night, something like that.
Oh, okay. Got it.
The only thing was the street lights. I'm like, something doesn't look right. So I pulled over, and I thought the car door, I thought the officer's door was open, the driver's door.
Uh-huh.
And there's people all around there. I'm like, hey, where's the officer at? I'm thinking he's on foot chasing somebody. They said he's back here. Back where? Back here. So I look in the back seat. There's no one in the back seat. It was freaking Houdini. What are you talking about? He was laying on the headrest. Like, he actually crawled up. Remember when we were kids laying on the back dash on the station wagon? Mm-hmm. It was like that.
And we survived.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was in the back window?
No, he was on the headrest. On
the front.
The front headrest.
Oh, he was on the front seat's
headrest.
Yeah,
because he was leaning up against the cage.
Okay.
like we used to do when we laid on the dashboard taking a long trip with your parents.
Is that called lateral? I guess he was laterally
lateral,
placed in the vehicle.
perpendicular.
Okay.
So he was laying on like, what's going on? And he ran into I think he was going too fast, and I think he ran into one of the steel barriers on the service road.
Okay.
On the guardrails.
So he was driving too fast on the feeder road.
Yeah, that's what I was told later on.
Okay.
And his gun belt was off. The gun belt ripped in half.
Oh, wow.
And I had just put myself through EMT training and did my little basic EMT stuff and didn't find anything.
He wasn't bleeding externally.
I went to grab my med bag and pulled it out. I don't know if I was carrying tourniquets then or not, but his vest was on. He was complaining he was in pain.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to sit here and talk to him, keep him comfortable.
Right.
So HFD got there and said, hey, you got to get out so we can get him out. So he wants his vest off. Can I take his vest off? Yeah, go ahead. So I took his vest off and got in my car and went home. Next morning, found out that he died. That was a big kick in the teeth. I was like, what the hell? And
which officer was this?
Edelman Manny.
Say again?
I have a hard time pronouncing his first name. Edelman Manny.
Okay.
I think he was out of North.
Okay.
He had a little boy. It's like, oh crap. So I got home, found that he died. I'm like, it just hit me. It took it really, really hard because there was nothing I could do, but I still was really laden with guilt about it. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, I knew there was nothing I could do about it. It could have been an MD surgical team there. If they didn't have any medical stuff, there's nothing they could have done.
Okay.
So, so I carried that with me, and I did not like that. That what if something else had happened? No, I did not have tourniquets with me. And it's like, because we hadn't gotten them yet. I was thinking, what if he needed one? I didn't have one.
Right.
I would feel really, really bad knowing that I didn't have I don't want to carry a tourniquet, so I'm not going to bother with it. Not my problem. But like I said, I didn't know the officer. He was another officer, so we were there for each other. So that kind of motivated some more things. And then the tactical training unit developed, and I got to that, and that gave me more traction to pursue this even more. So I put myself through a tech med school, and just went from there and just kept pushing it. There was some pushback that's not what we do, and I went up to Nacogdoches, did some training up there. There's a Delta guy, Paul Howe, did a lot of training with his program.
CSTAT?
Yeah, CSAT, Combat Shooting and Tactics, which a lot of were alert, and other places get their stuff from his stuff that they did at the time. So,
was he the one that's really into de-escalation, or was that somebody else?
No.
Yes, he's in a de-escalation.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Oh, he de-escalates you with a 45.
Yes. Yes. The different de-escalation.
Okay.
So, and Paul was a medic in the unit that he was in.
Okay.
So I learned a lot of stuff from him as well, and just kept pushing it. And just one thing led to another. And
was this 2010?
This has been.
How long did it take, would you say, the process?
So tech unit was started, 2011? So 2012, 13, I think, went in. So it actually went pretty quick. And I didn't.
3 years. Because the officer died in 2010.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I just want to know how long it takes.
It actually went.
For a good idea to actually become policy.
It actually went pretty quick. I thought I was going to get more pushback from legal.
Okay. Why legal? What could some lawyer say? Oh, God. What could some idiot lawyer in the city of Houston say that would say...
You're not a medic.
So what?
You have no medical training.
So what?
I understand that. You understand that. But
I know how to put a Band-Aid on.
So in EMS terms, you cannot go outside your scope of practice.
In what? Where?
So as a EMT, an EMT is not authorized to do certain things.
Okay. Now we're talking about lawyers, though. So there's something called the Texas Tort Claims Act. What I'm trying to understand now is who at the city of Houston thinks that if a police officer does something they're not trained to do, that ipso facto creates a cause of action under the Texas Tort Claims Act.
If I teach
Answer, it doesn't. Go on.
But going back to what we were talking before, if I teach it, I have to defend it.
He's right. Legal services, when I was writing scripts for training videos, would take umbrage with a scene I wrote that was supposed to have an officer in a bar talking to his buddy, and it was an off-duty thing. And they were like, "Oh, you can't have him drinking in a bar." I mean, it's when and the video was about when to take action, when not to take action.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Lawyers fuck things up. They really do. They just. I'm sorry.
Well,
so to digress a little bit, but kind of back on track and kind of the same thing. When I was on DWA task force, I was a DRE, and DREs would be called if there was an alcohol-related incident involving an officer on or off duty.
Drug recognition expert.
Yes.
Okay, for the audience.
Thank you.
So, an officer, the officer, we got called. Well, excuse me. There was a disturbance at an officer's house. He was off duty.
Okay.
He was drinking in his house. We got called out to make sure he wasn't anything else. It wouldn't have been classified as PI.
So far, we're dealing with sound judgment. Go on.
Okay. But that's not what we were told.
Okay.
Okay. So we had to take him down to Intox to provide a breath sample. Well, the breath analyzer is strictly for DWIs.
Alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It is mandated by the state.
Right.
But we also had an admin one that we would train on. That was not mandated by the state, just one that we, kept online to make sure it was going. Did we calibrate? I had an IAD lieutenant say, you need to put him on the breath analyzer. So we can't. He's not driving. He goes, no, it's like this. Joe Fenwick goes to a bar, gets in a fight. We get called out. He had the potential to drive because he drove there. So put him on the deal. We can't. So you want me to violate state law and policy because you want me to do something just because you want it done. So
He was lieutenant?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 200 question multiple choice tests on the community policing that man took.
I may have been a captain. I don't remember. I think he was a lieutenant, but the fact is you want me to do something that I'm not allowed to do. So there's the intelligence of legality of things that are not true.
Right.
So that's why.
Well, what happened?
Well,
did you commit insubordination?
No, we've in a convention to go on the other one, the one that was an administrative one.
Okay.
But the fact that he was entertaining the fact that he wanted me to do something, because if we did that, the city had the department had a probability of losing their whole DWI program from breath analyzers there in Houston.
Okay.
So you would have to go some DPS or Baytown or someplace.
Sounds like another. Well, they have a very probability of losing their DWI. Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably none of that.
It's too much money.
Yeah, none of that.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. So
well, that's what I mean. That's what you're told. That's what I mean. And that's what you've been told by.
Yeah.
What they would have done is they would have swept it under the rug, and everybody would have acted like it never happened.
But I didn't want to be part of that.
Or if it had been blown up, they still wouldn't have lost her.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. But
I mean,
but nonetheless,
they tell people
protecting my
that
stuff administratively.
They tell officers that you're, it's amazing what they'll lie to you and tell you.
Because it's easier.
In the Army, I used to hate it when they would say, go out to the National Training Center, and the horned toad has the most potent blood agent known to man. Oh, wow, I don't want to mess with this. And that's not true. That's not true. What they didn't want is for some ranger to go, hey, Sarge, is that a horned toad? It sure was, and then throw it away. That's what they don't want, But instead, they told you had a blood agent. It's just these. We'll be liable if
it'll give you herpes or something, and you're like, I'm going to get herpes from a frog.
Yeah, something.
Well, I'm not going to fuck it.
I was thinking I just wasn't going to say it.
I remember that at Fort Benning. That's what they would tell you, and it's like, what?
Herpes from a frog. What? Because they don't want you to don't touch it. Don't touch it. But that's that's the same mentality. I don't know how many times I've been told, well, see, we'll be liable if.
Yes.
And it came from a lieutenant.
You can't.
So we'll be liable if mattered.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
This is what goes behind a lot of police training is, experimentation.
Yes.
And what's funny is departments are afraid to experiment. That's what you find out is supervisors are actually afraid to experiment because what if we make a mistake? Well, Jesus, that's why you experiment.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to learn from that mistake. As long as the practice station.
But a mistake will cause us to get sued. Yeah, no, it won't.
No, I don't even think that. I think I can't do it, so I'm not even going to let you.
As long as the practice is safe, sound, and legal, then you're good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once again, Rodney, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
We're looking forward to talking to you in the future. And join us again. Like, subscribe, and comment as always down below. We read every one of them. And we'll see you in the next video.